A good day to everyone. Our topic is men and masculinities for the lesson 14. Lesson objectives. This module discusses the many faces of men and masculinities. It also discusses themes of masculinity and its relationship with well-being, fathering, domestic roles, and drug and alcohol use. This module finally deals with hegemonic, protest, and caring masculinities. At the end of this module, you are expected to: number 1, understand fully men's studies and the constructs of masculinity. Number 2, know fully the themes of masculinity and its relationship with well-being, fathering, domestic roles, and drug and alcohol use. And comprehend hegemonic, protest, and caring masculinities. For the introduction, since 1970s, these studies on different aspects of manhood, from men in the labor market to men in the family and violent men, etc., were made. By the 20th century, the number of these studies increased dramatically. A growing body of literature theorizing men and masculinities focuses on a variety of topics, including men's violence, fatherhood, pornography, men's crimes, female masculinity, male femininity, etc. These studies arose despite the clear dominance of men over global economic and political power. Men make up a large majority of corporate executives, top professionals, and other of public office worldwide. Men held 93% of cabinet levels posts in 1996 and most top positions in international agencies, according to GRE's 1999. Before anything else, the question is, what is masculinities or the masculinity? Masculinity or masculinidad is a social expectations of being a man o pagkalalaki. The term masculinity refers to the roles, behavior, and attributes that are considered appropriate for boys and men in a given society. Masculinity is constructed and defined socially, historically, and politically rather than being biologically driven. Ang maskulinidad na tinatawag ding pagiging maskulino o isang bulog, pagkabarako at pagkalalaki ay ang pagkakaroon ng mga katangian o kalidad na tinuturing na tipikal o pangkaraniwan sa isang lalaki, o kaya ay nakaakma at naaangkop sa isang lalaki. That's what the explanation of the masculinity. Then, for definition of terms, masculinities is a social, cultural, and historical construction of men dependent on and related to other factors such as class, ethnicity, sexuality, age, and disability. Hegemonic masculinity, form of masculinity which is culturally dominant in a given setting. Next is the protest of masculinity, form of masculinity which is culturally dominant in marginalized setting. Next is the caring masculinity, proposes that men are able to adopt what is viewed as traditional feminine characteristics. To start with, protest of masculinity. Protest of masculinity is a form of marginalized masculinity which picks up themes of hegemonic masculinity in a society at large but rework them in a context of poverty, by Connell 2005. In other words, it is a kind to hegemonic masculinity but in a socially deprived context. Protest masculinity refers to describe instances of extreme forms of sex type behavior on the part of some males. The key to the concept of protest masculinity are high levels of physical aggression, The protest masculinity profile is also proposed as including destructiveness, low tolerance for delay of gratification, crime, drinking, and similar dispositions, according to Broad 1990. Protest masculinity is often product of narcissism built from deep feelings of powerlessness and insecurity. By Connell compares it to a tense, freaky facade making a claim to power where there are no real resources for power. By Connell 1995. The protest masculinity is gendered identity oriented toward a protest of relations of production and the ideal type of hegemonic masculinity. To this point, protest masculinity has been conceived as destructive, chaotic, and alienating sort of masculinity. What really are the masculine protests? It is a tendency, attribute, especially to human female in the psychology of Alfred Adler to escape from the female role by assuming a masculine role and by dominating others. Broadly, any tendency to compensate for feelings of inferiority or inadequacy by exaggerated, overt, aggressive behavior. What is the masculinity examples? Protest masculinity. Protest masculinities challenge and or reject hegemonic masculinities, with the former possibly including disparate configurations of practices such as machismo, violent resistance to authority, heavy drinking, homosexual desire, and transsexualism. Next is the caring masculinity. The emergence of caring masculinities in many parts of the world has been assessed in several reports since the early 2000s, all of them highlighting the virtuous impact of this reshape in male identities and practices for gender equality improvements in societies. After decades of women demanding equal rights and opportunities and for the end of a male domination and it is harmful cost in their lives, caring masculinities arise as strong ally against hegemonic masculinity. The concept of caring masculinity proposes that men are able to adopt what is viewed as traditionally feminine characteristics, expression, sensitivity, domestication, interdependence, caring, etc., without departing from or rejecting masculinity. Caring masculinities can be seen as masculine identities that include domination and embrace the effect of relational, emotional, and interdependent qualities of care, a critical form of men's engagement in gender equality because doing care work requires men to resist hegemonic masculinity and to adopt values and characteristics of care that are antithetical to hegemonic masculinity. Meaning to say, through the concept of caring masculinity shows even we are a man or masculine, we can propose or be able to adopt the traditional feminine characteristics that it is okay to show emotions or to cry and do some feminine style or deeds in order to showcase our sensitivity and emotional expression. That we can mean that someone is sensitive in such things that may hurt him or her feelings. It's a matter of personality of someone or what the person is striving through in life. So be aware of sensitivity because we have our own differences and we are not the same of situations. Caring masculinities can be defined as alternatives to hegemonic dominant forms of masculinity. They are masculinities based on caregiving and nurturing roles for men rather than the dominating aggressive roles normally associated with a hegemonic masculinity in Western societies. Next is the family formation, fathering, caregiving, and domestic roles. Domestic roles are closely associated with women, as carrying them out can involve a loss of face for men. Great deal was heard about increases in women's labor force participation in recent decades, but less about men's caregiving and domestic roles. Research, however, shows that men are, on average, not greatly increasing their role in household work and unpaid care, according to Barker and Pollack, 2011. Least do they know, men are missing out in not engaging more in their domestic and family roles. It has been shown that being involved in the lives of their children brings psychological and health benefits to men, according to Dijkstra and Kaiser, 2009. Research on child development demonstrates lasting benefit to children of their father's involvement in terms of their confidence and school performance. Rue 2000, Sarkady et al., Bremberg 2008, however, was said that men may contribute to the domestic enterprise in other important ways, including through providing financial support, accompanying children to activities outside of school or home, or National Center on Fathers and Family 2002, Brown and Chevanes 1998. Better educated men are more likely to put more time into domestic roles and caregiving, according to Hernandez 1996, Garcia and Oliveira 2004, and Barker and Virani 2008. Men's schooling may have expanded their sense of norms and weakened stereotypes through their exposure to broader ideas and more diverse people. For the explanation, the meaning for the family formation, the woman as carrying them out can involve a loss of face for men, because men are actually doing the outside job or not in the area of the house or household to earn and have money for the family. And as well as we all know that the woman, or specifically saying the mother, is the one who will supervise the children's doing the household chores and more. That means she have a lot of exposure to the children's doing she do the household chores, and so she have a lot of exposure to the family or to the children as they see what the mother or what mother do every day as a work. Fathering is not easy as what others see. They must be missing out on engaging more on their domestic and family roles. Even our father wants to be with the children to make a lot of bond and take care with them, but it can't be permitted a lot because of the work they have to find or they have to do. All the father's love and care is for the children. That's why they work hard to make money for the family. And as what I have seen of some fathers is that if they have more money and have the special day to celebrate, they provide such financial support for their children or child in some ways to get bond, like having a family vacation, travel, and more. For the caregiving is both seen in man and woman, but shows in a different way. The men as a father provide us what I say a while ago. They are the one who give the financial support for the children for example, when the child is having a contest outside the school, or the child is having the event in their respective schools, and when it comes to meeting, the man is more powerful to see and make their child proud and feel like their father is there to support and take care for them. And this situation felt the child enriching confidence and maybe do well in class because they want their father to be proud for what they do in their life. The question is, to those who still have the father on their side, have you experienced to attend by your father in a meeting? What is the feeling? For domestic roles, it is a task performed inside the household in order to ensure that the basic needs of its members are met, such as cooking, cleaning, and taking care of children or older adults and other dependent family members. Next is masculinities and alcohol and drug use. We all know that more men drink than women, and men drink more than women. Meaning, mas naglalasing o mas maraming kalalakihan ang umiinom kaysa babae. Study shows that men were more likely to drink than women, drank alcohol in greater quantity and more frequently than women, and were more likely to face alcohol-related health and social problems than women, according to Wilsack et al. 2000. According to my research, some studies say that women live longer than men because of the habits and lifespan of men. The men are prone on using such alcohol and drug use because they tend to be valued as strong, adventurous, curious, and like extreme things. Kung baga sa kape ay dapat matapang ang flavor. Men are also not too showy, that's why they tend to solve their own problems in life. Large numbers of men now acknowledge that their position is under challenge, that what they once took for granted about must be rethought, making men's studies and masculinity become popular. The men are expected to. Men are breadwinners, violent, mean, bullies, tough, angry, active, strong, successful, in control over women. Men are also have no emotions, stand up for themselves, yell at people, can take it, don't make mistakes, don't cry, take charge, push people around, know about sex, don't back down, take care of people. But deep inside, in their feelings, they are sometimes confused, angry, scared, ashamed, alone, stupid, powerless, vulnerable, revenge, hopeless, worthless. Masculinity in men's studies have been continuously developing from its inception and up to present. These studies covered common themes of masculinities, different kinds of masculinities, such as hegemonic, protest, and caring masculinities, and the relationship of these masculinities to various aspects of life and environment, such as the family roles, fathering, caregiving, and domestic roles. And also, I tackled the masculinities and alcohol drug abuse. Hope you learned some of it. I am Mark Aluchi Iagas, and I'm done with my part. To continue the report about men and masculinities, I will be calling Mr. Louis Angelo Ibo to talk about men's right lobby and collective masculinities, then to proceed to the last reporter by Miss Terry Pulvereza Lanuza She will tackling the masculinities and well-being, masculinities themes, and the multiple masculinity. Good luck!
Men's right lobby. Men are now the gender victims as a result of feminism having gone too far, with men having responsibilities, but few right now, around issues of marriage, divorce, custody of child, and assist to children by Warren Farrell. Collective masculinities, gender structure of a society define particular patterns of conduct of individual as either masculine or feminine. This also exists at the collective level. Instruction such as corporation, armies, government, and even school. Masculinity also exists in personality, in culture, videos, games. For example, circulate stereotype image of violent masculinity. Cinema and TV shows portray of masculinity such abandoning father, disgruntled student, abusive of partner, and drug convict.
Masculinities well-being. A man and men's negative health practices and vulnerabilities. Men are unlikely to talk about their worries and more likely to drink and engage in other destructive behaviors when stressed. So, they are culturally dominant. We have also culturally dominant forms of masculinity or just men. So, in a culture, we perceive men. Also, samples perceives men to practice strict emotional control. So, ang mga lalaki daw will look expressive. Really among expressive. But then, this serves as a barrier to help and seeking. Help with it comes to very own well-being. Be destructive a behavior. And of course, universally, we look at men as more physically strong than women. Masculinities themes. Masculinity is a social, cultural, and historical construct dependent on and related to other factors such as class, ethnicity, sexuality, age, and disability. Men's studies and masculinity establish common themes which strengthen and develop these involving concepts. This concept, masculinity, devolved by this different of environment. Socially, culturally related to these different factors. So each one has different concepts regarding this a different backgrounds. Multiple masculinity. Accordingly, there is no one pattern of masculinity that is found everywhere. Different cultures and periods of history construct masculinity differently. Some cultures make heroes of soldiers and regard violence as the ultimate test of masculinity. Other cultures look at soldiering with disdain and regard violence as contemptible. Again, There is no one pattern of masculinity that is found everywhere. Why? Because we have different cultures, right? We have different cultural contexts. We have perceptions. So some cultures make heroes. They herald heroes, herald soldiers, and other cultures, they disdain being a soldier acceptable. Especially when you are being violent things. So the meaning of masculinity also differ some working class from the middle class to the upper class. Same those are very much poor and very much rich.